So Todd Bowles earlier this week talked to the press about the transition from Baker Mayfield to Tom Brady, and this is what he had to say. Anybody who comes after Tom, if you play well, you're going to be talked about in a good category. Not Tom's category, but a good category. If you play badly, well, he's not Tom. Baker Mayfield was in a lose-lose situation from a fan ballot standpoint to begin with, and he didn't try to win the fan ballot. He just put his head down and he worked and he won the team over, which is what's great about it. He's doing things his way and we're doing things our way. It's not as pretty as when Tom was here, but we're scrappy and we're pulling them out and getting things done. Those are probably, he's talking about wins there. But I want to know, I guarantee you're going to bring this up, so I'll admit it first. I'll talk about it first. I did say for the past year or so that I thought Baker Mayfield should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I was very wrong. He's played absolutely incredible this season. I'm going to bring this up later when we have our full discussion. I was wrong about that, but I want to know, do you think that Baker Mayfield earned a second contract with Tampa Bay?
Yes, I do, and I think that Todd Bowles is giving us a little foreshadowing that that's going to happen. He said so many good things about him. He said Mayfield didn't try to be Tom Brady. I think that was a smart move. He didn't have a chance of being Tom Brady, so he didn't try to be Tom Brady. It's not as pretty out there, but they get it done. He leads by being one of the guys. It's another thing he said. The players adore Mayfield. He's a warrior. He's a quarterback, offensive lineman mindset. I thought that was an interesting comment. He's a great leader. So those kinds of comments coming from the head coach, and with the team in first place in their division, even though it's a losing record.
It's 500.
A 500 record now, 7-7. If they can win the division, I think he gets a second year anyway. But if they win the division, that's even more credence that he will get a second year, maybe even a multi-year.
I'll say this: you do talk about he didn't try to be Tom Brady. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's look at Brady's last season in Tampa and Baker Mayfield's season so far. It's eerily similar. Brady ended the year 8-9. Baker Mayfield right now is 7-7. The completion percentage, 66.8 for Tom Brady, 63.5 for Baker Mayfield. The passing yards per game is 276.1 for Brady, 236.8 for Baker Mayfield. The yards per attempt, 6.4 for Brady, 7.1 for Baker. So there you go, point Baker. The touchdown to interception ratio, that's what's shocking. It's very similar. 25-9 for Brady, 24-8 for Baker Mayfield. And the passer rating, Baker wins point number 2. 90.7 for Brady, 94.7 for Baker Mayfield. Very similar. Brady's a little bit better because obviously he's the better quarterback. Yeah. But this team has looked less scared. It has looked less mistake-ridden. The running game is still terrible, but it's not dead last in the league. Not as terrible. Right, it's not dead last in the league.
It was awful last year.
Oh, it was abysmal. They're still very, very close to last. They're 29th. But there's new things that are coming. Baker's more mobile than Brady, which adds one level to the offense that they didn't have with Tom Brady. The defense is going back to that great rushing defense. They're number 9 in the league compared to last season when they were 15th. So things are looking a little bit different, but it's very, very similar between Baker Mayfield and Brady last season. So I've been thoroughly impressed with Baker Mayfield. We talked about with my brother earlier this year. Has Baker Mayfield impressed you? And I think everyone realized it. Yeah, they've been very, very impressive. Will this team win a Super Bowl? No. Will this team make the playoffs? Yeah. Depending on the matchup. Can they win a playoff game? Yeah. I think so.
Maybe.
If they're at home, I genuinely think so.
They will be at home if they win the division.
They'll have one home game, and it'll probably be against the Eagles or the Cowboys, depending on who wins that division. Yeah. Can they beat the Eagles? Maybe. Maybe. Probably not, because the last time they played, they lost 25-11. But it's a maybe.
I'd say the Eagles' defense has gotten worse, not better.
Yes.
Right?
It showed a lot of poor aspects to it earlier in the year. I mean, Mac Jones, 310 yards and 3 touchdowns. The first time he's ever done that in his career. And look where he is now, sitting on the bench behind Bailey Zappi. That's what Mac Jones did week 1. But I'll say this. Baker Mayfield has been playing very, very well. He looks calmer. He doesn't look as hectic. He's not trying to make the throw to win the game like he maybe did in Carolina and the late years of Cleveland, although the late years of Cleveland he was banged up and decided to play, which that put bad tape out there for him. But again, with Carolina, he didn't have the same amount of talent. He didn't have a Mike Evans or a Chris Godwin. He didn't have the offensive line that he has.
That makes a big difference for him. Those two wide receivers make a huge difference.
Right. And Mike Evans, once again, 1,000-yard season. I think that's 9 straight. He's trying to break Jerry Rice's record of that. I think it's 11 or 10 for Jerry Rice. Mike Evans has, I think, 9. So to have that type of receiver, Chris Godwin as your wide receiver too, it's very, very good to have that type of talent. So I think he has earned himself a second contract, whether or not that's a 3-year deal like it is with Geno Smith, whether it's a long-term deal, like, I don't know, I think Derek Carr's on a 5-year deal. If it's something like that. I don't think
it'll be that long.
But I do think Tampa could roll with Baker. I don't think they'll ever win a Super Bowl, but can they make the playoffs consistently, especially with the amount of talent or lack thereof in the NFC South? Yes, I do think so.
Todd Bowles has done better than I thought he would this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this defense still has a terrible time with the passing game.
Right.
But the run defense is
31st
excellent.
in pass defense.
The run defense is very good.
Right. And I think you just got to develop a better running attack. They're 29th in the league this season. The passing defense, which I've said for the past 2 years, needs to be improved. They're 31st in the league right now, and that means the Chargers are above them. I think the Commanders are the only worst one. I think they're dead last in passing defense. The Bucs are the next, and then it's the Chargers. The Chargers were going for the NFL record of most passing yards per game given up. And now they've moved up 2 spots, and the Bucs have replaced them for that 31st spot. So I think you got to get some things fixed out. But the offense this season, I don't think has been the problem. I really don't. Now, they're 20th in the league in scoring. However, I don't think your problem is saying the offense hasn't been able to perform. The defense just gives up so many yards. We're talking about several times where it's nearly 500 total yards given up.
Yeah.
Think about it. Against the Texans, they gave up 443 passing yards against rookie C.J. Stroud. And that was a killer, too, because Baker Mayfield led them down, scored that touchdown, and then in 42 seconds, C.J. Stroud does nearly the impossible and wins that game because your defense gave up an incredible drive. So while I did rip on Baker for the past year about how I don't think he's a starting quarterback, and I think they said that just based on the expectations I had with him going from Cleveland to Carolina, I still think he got screwed over in that first game. The weird roughing the passer call that wasn't roughing the passer. There was a lot of interesting things that happened in that game. I was very, very disappointed, and so maybe it was a little overreaction, but I will admit, I'll be the first one to admit, I was wrong. I do think Baker deserves, whether it's with the Bucs or not, he is a starting quarterback in this league.
I think they'll retain him. I really do, and they probably will win the division, right? I mean, who do they have in their last 3 games?
The Bucs in the last 3 games, they play the Jaguars this week with Trevor Lawrence most likely out, and then you have the Saints and you have the Panthers. 2 very winnable games, especially with the Panthers.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. And so the Saints, now they're 2 games behind.
They're 1 game behind.
1 game behind, and the Falcons?
The Falcons are... I'm sorry, the Saints are a half game behind. If the Bucs win this week, they would be a full game behind. The Saints are 7-8 right now. Atlanta's 6-8, so they have the opportunity to create an even farther gap between them and the Falcons this week. Yeah. So, and the Falcons, they play the Colts this week. The point spread went from -1 to -2.5 for the Falcons. Mm-hmm. I know, spoiler, you have the Colts. I
do. I like Gardner Minshew. He's playing great
this week. This year, yeah, absolutely. So I'll be the first one to admit it. I was wrong, and I've enjoyed watching Baker, and I'll say I mentioned this earlier this week. In the first time in Lambeau Field history, I mean, it's been around for what, damn near 100 years. The first time in Lambeau Field history, an opposing quarterback had a perfect passer rating. And it goes to Baker Mayfield. Tom Brady didn't do that. Manning didn't do that. Any of the Mannings didn't do that. Joe Montana, nope. John Elway, nope. Staubach, nope. Mahomes, no. Anyone, greatest quarterbacks of all time, no. Baker Mayfield did it. First time in Lambeau Field history. An opposing quarterback.
That's surprising.
Perfect passer rating. In a season where both of us, including both of us, thought that the Bucs would be going for Caleb Williams at the number 1 draft pick.
I did.
And right now they're leading the division with a 7-7 record. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.